What's up, guys, and welcome back to the DualSense podcast. This is episode 32. I am one of your co-hosts, Jason. I am joined, as always, by one of the country's top ocularists. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Travis. You can tell me. His work has seen the world over, but he also is an avid PlayStation gamer. He joins me today. Travis, what is good?
What's an Oculus? Like an Oculus Rift?
An ocularist is
An eye doctor?
It's close. It's close. I couldn't barely say it, but it's a person who makes fake eyeballs.
Oh, that's interesting. How'd you find that? Do you need one?
I might. I just found it on the interweb, and you should know best of all as being one of the the country's top ocularists. You have glass eyes all over this place. How's that feel?
I don't think I like it.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. Well, what else is good? What's new with you?
Oh, nothing. I'm just arguing with this woman about her 1,000 miles. Nothing particular.
Is it bleeding into the weekend, or have you left her on the back burner?
Oh, she emailed me last night like 9 o'clock. So, long story short, I asked her. Basically, I told her it was fine, under control, and then she magically got 500 miles from September to December.
Oh, yeah, just magically, huh? She got half of her miles in 4 months.
Yeah, pretty cool. She's old and she's a hag, so it's fine.
Sweet. Well, Travis, for the uninitiated or the noobs here on the podcast, we are a weekly podcast where you and I get together every week to cover all of the week's PlayStation news, rumors, new game releases, and a little bit more. We post new episodes every Monday. If you would like to engage with us, you can find us on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. Hit us up on there with whatever you want to say to us. You can tell us we suck or you love us, whatever. If you want to watch the episode or listen to the episode, I should say, on YouTube, you can do that at the DualSense Podcast on YouTube. You can also find some of our game streams and clips there as well, if that interests you. So, Travis, talk to me about if you've been playing anything new this week, or you've just been playing your usual stuff. What's going on?
Yeah, the new game I'm playing this week is FIFA, and I looked at it. I've played 9 hours this week. I think big shout out to Sony for letting me know. I'm like halfway through the first season. I think I played 29 games. By played, I mean like I simulated some BS games, and if I got up by 3 goals, I would quick sim and then jump in if I needed to. But yeah, anyway, it's pretty awesome. As noted by many of the reviews, the hair is magnificent on the game. It is some of the best video game hair probably ever, which is odd that they have that.
Yeah, of all things, FIFA has that.
When I first started playing the game, it felt a little like, I feel like the players didn't move very well, if that makes sense. But now that I've played it more, it actually doesn't. It actually feels pretty good. So I don't know if that's just an adjustment from 2K, because I feel like 2K is, and also the field is bigger. That's probably part of it. It probably just It just feels weird. I do like it better than the other FIFAs. I think the goalies are better. I think before it was like they would score or you would like dive and touch it with your fingertip.
Right.
And now I feel like that they actually slide and kick and they do other things that are a little more realistic. So that's pretty cool.
I agree.
I get a million offsides calls. I'm not sure if that's me.
You got to quit jumping the gun.
I can't help it. I get excited. But other than that, it's pretty good. The defending is way better. And the reason I say the defending is better is because I used to get cards all the time. And I always felt like I wasn't even that aggressive.
Right.
And when I was aggressive, I would get a red card immediately. Like if I was aggressive at all. And now it's pretty much like the only time I get a card is when I'm trying to get a card. Like,
yeah,
like I don't want them to score on a breakaway. I'll just like, tackle them really hard, or I'll push them really hard, and they'll blow the whistle. And they don't always give me a card, so it's just a foul. But I do enjoy it. And I'm just doing my career thing. I'm not doing the foot stuff. So
nice. I have been playing the usual stuff this week. Not really 2K, but FIFA and Red Dead. And I don't know. I don't think we played Battlefield until, we played a little bit last night. So there's that. But that's, as far as new stuff, Well, before I move on, let me give an update on FIFA since we were just talking about that. I feel it's necessary that I give an update on my FIFA experience. So, as you know, I have a career with Bradford City, the Bantams, and I think before last episode, I had not played a game yet. So before the season started, the league season, the League Two, English League Two season started, I had a press conference. We had just won the European Shield, the lads. Feeling good, had a press conference. The press asked me, what the team was like, what our expectations were going into the season. And, I'm the manager, so, and I was feeling good. So I told them, like I told you guys in the group text that, that we had fire in our bellies and our piss was hot and we were going to get promoted, no doubt. And then they had the audacity to ask me about 3 players that I sold in the transfer window. And I told them that we needed people who were ready to come here and win. And that's that. So fast forward to a couple of days later, and I played my first league game against Carlisle United and lost 5-1. So my hope may have been a little bit misplaced. However, I've rebounded well. The lads have rebounded well, but I talked a lot of shit, and then I got my shit pushed in the first game. So there's that. And then as far as new stuff, I mixed in Killzone Shadowfall this week after we talked about it in the news last week. As far as Killzone in general being dead, I just, got a little nostalgic and wanted to go back and check it out and see how it held up. I can tell you that it does not hold up very well at all. So I remember it much more fondly than what my experience was this week. So first of all, the graphics are not very good anymore, and the mechanics are also not very good anymore. There's very little feedback on the gunplay, and everything's very kind of like lumbering and well, first of all, the only game mode that is still alive is Team Deathmatch, and I didn't play with any Americans, if that tells you anything. So there's probably 1,000 people worldwide playing the game still, but anyway, it did not hold up very well. So, it is what it is. It was a launch game, a launch window game for the PS4. So I don't know what I expected, but
yeah, it sounds about right for the time.
Yeah. And then the other thing I played was Rogue Company, which is a free to play third person, somewhat tactical shooter. And I don't know. I'm kind of in the mood for like a third person shooter, and it was free and the download was small. So I was like, hey, I'm going to check this out. And I got to say, I was surprised by it. It's better than I thought it would be, especially for a free to play game. And I just did kind of like the tutorial and then played a few rounds of one certain game mode, and I enjoyed it. I may even go back and mix it in a little bit. I don't know, because just you don't really have to like play it all the time. You can just pick up and play a few boards here and there, and you're not going to miss out on anything. So it's cool. It's worth checking out if it interests you at all. Third person shooters. So it's got a bunch of different game modes, I think, and I played one that was like demolition, I think, on like Call of Duty, where you have to like set bombs and blow up these checkpoints, or you can just eliminate the whole team. It was cool. It's worth checking out.
A couple of the guys I used to race with play that game, and they
really?
They say they really like it, mostly because I think it's free, but they say it's fun because you're not in first person, so it's a nice change.
Yeah, it's a mix of like it has characters kind of like Apex Legends. Like there's unique characters and they each have their own like guns and skills and whatever. But it's third person, like not really sort of cover based in a way. It's like a very poor man's The Division mixed with Apex Legends, I guess, sort of. But it's not a battle royale or anything like that. So that's appealing to me too. Like I didn't want a battle royale. Like I just wanted like a competitive, shooter game. So
right.
That was it. So with that, let's get into the news here. Definitely not as much news as last week, but still a few big things here. So we'll hop right in. Number 1, Battlefield 6 will be coming to current gen and last gen consoles, as well as PC, according to website Video Games Chronicle, who cited reputable Battlefield leaker Tom Henderson. Henderson previously claimed that the game will return to a modern setting and feature multiplayer modes with up to 128 players. A claim that GamesBeat writer Jeff Grubb later corroborated is indeed true. According to Henderson, Battlefield 6 on last-gen consoles will most likely not allow for 128-player battles, sticking to 64 players instead, and could also feature limited environment destruction in comparison to current-gen consoles. Naturally, the cross-gen news has players worried about the current-gen version being held back, to which Henderson stated, quote, "I've been told that it is simply not the case, and a completely different studio or a different part of DICE is working on a previous gen version of the game, and it's something that we simply should not be worried about." End quote. What are your thoughts
Mm.
here?
Okay. To make sure I understand, they have
Mm-hmm.
two teams. One's on previous gen, one's on current gen,
Mm-hmm.
and there being 64 players, not as much environmental destruction. That'll all be on the old generation, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
All right. Just making sure I understood that. So to start, well, actually, Battlefield wasn't the first FPS shooter I played online. Was like Ghost Recon, I think, back in the day. After that, I've played every Battlefield, and Call of Duty is great, but I like the vehicles and the environmental destruction that Battlefield gives you, and it also plays a little bit different. It's a little more like I feel like the guys who play Battlefield are more interested in the objectives than necessarily their kill death ratio.
Mm-hmm.
So from that perspective, of course, I'm excited. I like the big fields; it's always a lot of fun. I'm glad. On one hand, I'm glad that there's two teams because I don't have to worry about losing any thing I feel like I should have on next gen, like or current gen, like what I paid for when I
Right.
bought the console. It does worry me a little bit that there's two teams because it's going to be two different games, basically.
True.
So if there's if there's let's say there's crossplay between generations, how does that affect my game? Like, am I suddenly now losing destruction? Can I only play 64? If it's a different team, are their weapons going to shoot different? Is it going to be one of those things where like on PS4 you can snipe really well, but you can't do it at all on 5? Because you know
Mm.
how it is. Like, I'm sure there'll be some sharing of code and whatnot, but like when you have two different teams, you can't have the same game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my question about the crossplay. That worries me a little bit.
Yeah, that's a fair question. That they haven't explicitly came out and said that it's going to feature crossplay, where you can play between generations. But if that's the case, everything that you said is a valid concern because, if you're a PS5 player, you don't want to be sucked into a 64 player game with, limited destruction, on a certain map or whatever. Like that's not what you paid for. So,
hmm
uh,
And not to cut you off, sorry, but Battlefield 5 wasn't great. I think everybody would
yeah.
say that. There's a reason that people still play 1 and they still play 4. Although I think 1 might have some legs on it just because of the era it's in and it was such a good game. But what I'm worried about 6 is if it's a dud, we're going to go into that Call of Duty lull that we went in for 5 or 6 years where it was like they're not great, they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know two bad games in a row or two mediocre games in a row are really hard to keep a lot of gamers in tune. Does that make sense? Like your diehards will always be there, but for me, it's like if it's a mediocre game, I have other stuff I can play. So
Right.
as much as I like Battlefield historically, I'm a little. I feel like this is a big time for Dice.
Yeah, I agree. This is definitely a chance for them to redeem themselves. Like you said, Battlefield 5 is not popular at all, really, and it's just an okay game. But I am excited that they're moving to a modern setting, going back, because I did enjoy Battlefield 4 quite a bit, and even Battlefield Hardline, as we've talked about. But on the other hand, like you said, if I'm on PS4, it sounds to me like that those players are just going to get a reskin version of Battlefield 5 or whatever,
hmm
and it's just going to have a modern setting on it with just
hmm
new guns and new maps or whatever. It doesn't sound like the old gen version is going to be anything earth shattering. So,
Right. Which I'm sure they'll be upset about, but it's like
mhm.
I feel like as a company, like we talked about this before, when you have this new hardware, you got to play with it, and
Yeah,
it's these games are expensive and people's time is valuable, and they have investors and boards, and you can't really dump money into old hardware. I don't. That's not really how this works.
Right. What do you think about 128 player games? Because we've only had 64 even
Right.
to this point. So what about doubling that?
Well, my first question is, can the server handle it? But that's my
Right.
that's a natural starting place, I think, for everybody.
Yeah,
The chaos of it sounds like a lot of fun.
it does.
If there's too many vehicles, it could be pretty much unplayable.
Yeah.
It would just be a vehicle battle. But you could. They've done this before, though. Certain maps don't have vehicles. Like you don't have vehicles at Argonne, for example.
Right.
So they're smart. They're not dumb. These guys aren't dumb. But the idea of the chaos is awesome. But then also what that points out is the scale of the map. They're going to be
Right.
vertical and horizontal, and it's going to be
Ooh.
quite a task.
Yeah.
Like you might have like if we're playing Conquest, you might have D on top of a building and C on the floor level of that building. I mean, with that many
Interesting.
players, you could really do stuff like that.
That's an interesting idea. I'm really also interested to see what they do because apparently the destruction is going to to take a big leap. Like, what does that look like? You're going to be
Right.
able to if you have C and D, are you going to be able to collapse the entire building? And one of the points goes away now. Like,
Well, that's kind of cool.
something like that. I don't know. That'd be cool.
Yeah, because imagine like you get like a bonus if you destroy the whole capture point or whatever. That could be
Right.
something. That'd be a nice incentive.
Right. Yeah, and it just took you so long or like so much damage over the course of a map. I think they need to hire us. I think we've got a lot of good ideas.
Yeah, they should hire us so I don't have to send emails to dumb people.
I agree. Well, that game is due out this fall, Travis. They've indicated it'll be out in fall of 21. Hopefully that is the case and that it does not get delayed. We can keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're ready.
Number 2, God of War developer Sony Santa Monica announced that they are currently hiring an art director for a brand new unannounced game. Rumors have picked up in recent months that Santa Monica may be working on another project in addition to God of War Ragnarok, which this news seems to confirm, including rumors that God of War director Cory Barlog could perhaps be working on a sci fi game. For his part, Barlog has at times fanned the flames of speculation by changing the details of his Twitter bio, for example, which at one time listed his location as outer space. So, what do you think about the God of War team having a second game, in the works? And what if it was a sci-fi game? What would be your thoughts?
Well, to your point about Corey here at the end, he does like to mess with people,
Uh huh.
and I don't blame him. I would do the exact same thing if I had that many people following me that were that diehard and interested in what I was doing. It would be a lot of fun just to kind of poke the bear every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, God of Wars are historically awesome. I've never talked to somebody who didn't like them, which is
Mm-hmm.
very rare in video games. Somebody always has a complaint, but nobody really complains about God of War. So for them to have another game, why not? Sounds perfect. That's the logical next step. So
Mm-hmm.
sci-fi games, again, if we're doing spaghetti monsters, it's going to freak me out. But Destiny's a sci-fi game, isn't it? And I enjoy that.
Yeah.
You can make
Yeah.
an argument that, well, I guess the Division isn't really sci-fi, is it? It's more of like dystopian.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it sounds cool. I mean, technically, God of War is science fiction, right? I mean, that's not real.
Sure. Sure. You can look at it that way. Yeah.
So no, I think
I
it'll
so
be dope.
I yeah. It excites me. I think this studio has proven that they can do big things, and especially with the latest God of War. And there's been a little bit of a rumor in recent months that maybe Corey is not working on God of War Ragnarok. Maybe they've broken off into another team because the foundation is kind of there for God of War at this point with the 2018 game. You know what I mean? So it's really just building on that foundation and
Hmm.
making a new story or the next part of the story. So the fact that Corey could be working on something else that might be a sci-fi game excites me quite a bit.
Hmm.
And Corey also, before Ragnarok was announced, I don't know if you ever heard about this, but he just like went on a tweet storm one day, and the first letter of every tweet
Oh yeah.
was capitalized as it always would be. But people were like, "What's up with this? Why is he tweeting so much?" And they started to look back at his tweets, and the first letter of if you took the first letter of every tweet, it spelled out Ragnarok is coming.
Hmm.
So that was like the first hint that the game that Ragnarok was going to be the next God of War game. So he does like to, like you said, he does like to play around a little bit on Twitter and kind of, tease things or whatever. So I think there might be something to his Twitter
Right.
shenanigans. Well, time will tell, but we'll see.
And I like that. I like that he does that. I like because Call of Duty puts out those puzzles sometimes. You can find stuff in the
Yeah,
Warzone or whatever. I love stuff like that. I'd really like him to put out like a Zodiac level code, and then just have the internet freak out for 2 or 3 days until they figure it out. That would be a lot of fun.
that'd be dope. That's a cool way to announce a game.
Right. Again, hire us. We're brilliant.
Exactly. Number 3, developer Sumo Digital is also hiring for 2 new projects, with one being the next entry in a, quote, established AAA open world action franchise, end quote. A second job listing mentions an unannounced AAA third-person multiplayer action game. Sumo Digital has worked on big franchises over the years, such as Little Big Planet and Crackdown, as well as the PS4 and PS5 hit Sackboy: A Big Adventure. The English studio is currently developing Hood: Outlaws and Legends for last and current gen consoles. So,
hmm
what are your thoughts on this, on their 2 new unannounced games?
Can we see how Hood goes first?
Sure,
My excitement level kind of depends on that. I think
sure.
we're both interested in Hood a lot. I think it looks pretty cool. You sent us an article yesterday, I think, about it in the group. That
hmm
was interesting. So tentatively, yes, because Hood looks really cool.
Right.
What established open world franchise is there for them to dive into that they're tied to? I don't really know what that is.
Yeah, I know. So
I couldn't
they've
figure it
done,
out.
yeah, they've done Crackdown. They did Crackdown 3, which is an open world action franchise. It's
hmm
AAA. So,
Right.
Crackdown 3 kind of bombed. So I don't think it was terrible, but it wasn't
Mhm.
great. It was mediocre.
It might be
So
a hard
there's
sell.
that. Yeah, that seems like a hard sell. I don't know. I don't know what it could be. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Obviously, maybe it's Crackdown 4 or the
Mhm.
next Crackdown, but that seems kind of far fetched to me.
Right. I was trying to think if they bought somebody out that they would have the rights to, and nothing's
hmm
clicking off the top of my head.
hmm
I mean, Crackdown is like the one that fits the level, but it almost seems one. Not only does it seem a little far fetched because of how bad 3 was, but it also seems too obvious at the same time.
hmm
Like it's just
I
there.
Yeah. What about the multiplayer game? I have no idea what that could be. Unannounced AAA third person
hmm
multiplayer.
Well, the third
That's
person's cool.
probably a new game. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably their own game, not another IP that they're, making a game for. Is my
Right.
guess.
We just talked about kind of the need for a third person multiplayer. That'd be kind of cool. So
I would.
this just fits right in.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, I'm extremely excited for Hood: Outlaws and Legends, especially after I read that article that I sent you guys last night.
Mhm.
And I want to put my tinfoil hat on for a minute here.
Okay.
I
Here we
want
go.
to, so just indulge me. I have a theory about Sumo Digital, okay? And my theory is that they possibly could be an acquisition target for Sony for PlayStation. And I say that because they've worked on Little Big Planet. They made Little Big Planet 3. They made Sackboy, which was a PS5 launch game, which is pretty critically acclaimed. That was received very well.
Right.
And they just kind of have this relationship with Sony, and they have 2 teams now, which I think is going to be a prerequisite for Sony going forward. So there's Sumo Digital, like the main studio, and then there's Sumo Digital Newcastle,
Mm.
which is the team making Hood: Outlaws and Legends. So I think the fact that they have 2 studios or 2 teams working on 2 different projects, which is kind of what Sony's first party studios are doing, and the fact that they've worked on Sony's first party IP. I mean, they worked on Little Big Planet and Sackboy. Like that's Sony first party IP
Right.
that they've worked on. I think they might be an acquisition target for Sony, depending on, like you said, how Hood goes, and maybe one of these, maybe that established AAA open world action franchise is a Sony IP.
Right. Right. I didn't
Just
think about
saying,
that.
just
That's
saying.
that's a good point.
Who knows? Time will tell, I guess. But that's just my little tinfoil hat theory for Sumo. Number 4, PlayStation shared a new video on Thursday from the upcoming PS5 exclusive and free PS Plus game Destruction AllStars. The short 2-minute video featured a gameplay montage from some of the game's 16 characters in action. The All-Stars that we got to see were Ultimo Barricado, Box Top, Harmony, Gian, Sergeant Rescue, Twinkle Riot, and Genesis. The video gave us just a glimpse at the unique abilities of each character's vehicle, and it also showed a brief look at what appeared to be melee combat. Did you watch this quick little video, and what are your thoughts?
Well, I pulled it up and then I forgot. So
Oh
I pulled it
no.
up Thursday and then I left work and closed my computer and closed the tab and then I just forgot to
Hmm.
reopen it. So no, I didn't, but I'm glad
Hmm.
we're at least getting something because I was starting to worry.
I know. I guess at this, I mean, so I have another theory that I'll talk about in just a second, but there's a very real possibility that they may just like put this thing on PlayStation Plus, and then like that day, like, oh, here's a blog post, like here it is,
Right.
like hope you enjoy it, like hop on in, like, and just let people figure it out on their own. Maybe that's what they're gonna do.
Right.
But I will say, so when I first watched the trailer, I was kind of like, I don't know about this. Like, I'm excited for it. I want to play it, but I saw this trailer and I was kind of like this isn't enough. Like, why are they not showing more? And then I watched it a couple of more times. And after watching it a couple of more times after that, I was more hopeful for it. I was kind of like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
this looks cool. Like, I was paying more attention to what was going on than just like the characters like spinning around and shit. And it looks pretty cool. It's like a cartoony twisted metal is how I
Hmm.
would describe it. It's almost like, I hate to use Apex again, but it's kind of like Apex had a baby with Twisted Metal. Like the characters of Apex, like the characters of Apex in a cartoon, non-bloody Twisted Metal game. That's how I would describe it. And it looks pretty neat. But I can tell you that some of the characters look pretty cool, and some of them don't. So I don't know about that. But Sergeant Rescue, he should have been called Sergeant Shred.
I love Sergeant Shred.
I agree. I agree. Are you going to play this with me, or? I mean, it's
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give it a shot. You know, to your point about Apex in this game, they definitely the artistic liberties kind of probably are more uh, designed for a broad audience as opposed to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
strict gamers, I guess you'd call it. I don't know what you'd call them.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that's fine. That doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, Apex Legends is fine. I just have other stuff
Yeah.
I'd rather play.
Right.
Hopefully, the gameplay is good enough to keep everybody involved. I mean, we were both getting worried about there not being a lot of videos and stuff about the game, but I don't really remember much about, Fall Guys or Fortnite or any of these other free games that came
No,
out
that's
that
fair.
ended up being pretty big. So I guess maybe it's a little different now.
Yeah, that's fair. Those are good points. And then the last thing I have to say about it is the melee combat caught me off guard a little bit.
Right.
Like, I didn't like, we knew that the characters were going to have abilities themselves in addition to their vehicles having their own abilities, but I didn't realize that there were going to be like melee abilities. Like in the video, the characters like drop kicked a character into. So this was cool though. I'm not. This isn't a knock. So let me explain. This at one point a character drop kicked another character in the pathway of an oncoming car and it killed him.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah. So
I
I was like,
love that.
oh, I was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't know this was a thing, but that looked pretty cool. Like you just kick that dude in front of the spikes on the car and he's dead now.
Right.
Like,
It's
okay.
like Anchorman when you punt Baxter off the bridge.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't know. I just didn't know that was there. But again, they haven't shown us anything. So how would we know it was there?
Hmm.
Number 5, Resident Evil publisher Capcom pulled back the curtain on the next entry in the series on Thursday. The showcase gave us another cinematic trailer as well as the first look at gameplay from the upcoming title called Village. Resident Evil Village will launch on May 7th on PS4 and PS5 and will include a free upgrade from PS4 to PS5 for those who do not have their 5 yet. A PS5 exclusive demo for the horror game also went live on the PS Store on Thursday. The demo is called Maiden and is a sample of what the developer can accomplish on the PS5 hardware. And finally, Capcom revealed Resident Evil REverse, is how they pronounced it, a multiplayer game that will be free with Resident Evil Village. REverse will pit the series' iconic characters and villains fighting against each other in iconic Resident Evil locations. So, I think I know the answer, but did you watch any of this from the new Resident Evil game?
Um, no, and guess who didn't play the demo either?
Uh huh. Yeah. Me either. It's okay. I take that back. I did watch the gameplay so that I could speak on it a little bit,
Right.
and it looks terrifying. So I'm good.
That's
I'm
perfect. That's
good.
what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
They
There's vampire women and shit, and like
nice.
chasing you around this castle. Like I'm out,
Right.
guys. I'm
Is that
out.
your?
Good luck.
Aren't you married to one of those anyway?
I am. I'm married
Uh,
to a succubus.
um, you love it when she sucks your bus.
uh, oh, I like it when she chases me around my castle too.
The good thing about Resident Evil and Capcom is they do a really good job of playing within the universe, and the people that are really into that game. I think like if I was into this game, I'd be like, this is dope. I can play this multiplayer game with all these different characters and
Yeah.
villains. That's perfect. I get to go to these old locations. That's a lot of fun. So I could see
Yeah.
where if I'm a Resident Evil fan, I'm pretty stoked about this. Like, I wish there was. I don't really have an example, but like if we got to Ghost of Tsushima 5 and then they made a multiplayer game where you could be all these different characters, I'd be like, this is awesome. So
Yeah.
from that perspective, I think that it's pretty clever.
It is. Yeah. The multiplayer, I saw a little bit of like screenshots from the multiplayer game and it looks cool. I'm not going to lie. It looks like fun. It looks infinitely more playable to me than the single player,
Yeah,
which
that's
it's
fair.
not. Yeah. And it's not a knock on the game because I see Resident Evil like 7, like the old one. And then like I see this stuff that they showed for this. And like I understand why it's a good game. Like I understand why people find it appealing, and it's a beautiful game, and I get why people are drawn into it, but I just don't want to jump out of my couch or shit my pants, so
hmm
I'm
Right.
okay.
The multiplayer might take some of that jump out. I don't like jump scares repeatedly over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
Every now and then it's okay. Like I couldn't even
Yeah.
make it through Outlast. Is that what that was?
Oh yeah, we tried that. That was hilarious.
It was
We did.
funny. It's
Yeah.
funny to watch other people get scared, but like
Yeah.
the thing is, I would get so focused in on trying to find batteries, and then I
Yeah.
couldn't find batteries, and then this thing would fall out of the ceiling. I was like, "Fuck this! This is way too much."
Right. Right. Yeah. This isn't for me, but for all of you that are looking forward to it, May the 7th, it's going to be cross-gen game, and that's disappointing that it's going to be on the PS4 and the PS5. It's probably going to hold it back a little bit, is my guess, but maybe not. But anyway, the demo is out now. Maiden, it's an exclusive demo, features no combat, is my understanding. If you guys want to get a glimpse of the game, check it out. Number 6, Travis, we have several news nuggets again this week to get through. And as always, feel free to jump in here. First nugget, website Push Square reported that Ace Combat developer Project Aces announced that Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown is now the best-selling game in franchise history, with more than 2.5 million copies sold. That 2D puzzle platformer The Pedestrian will launch on PS4 and PS5 on January 29th. That a recent UK PS5 restock was raided yet again by scalpers, who reportedly made off with 2,000 orders of the console. The retailer, Game, has denied the claim since then.
Okay, game, don't ruin this for us.
Right.
We love this.
We need these trucks to start getting knocked off again, these lorries.
I don't understand why this is so prevalent in the UK. Like, is it impossible to steal stuff in America or Canada from the cars? Like,
So,
I don't understand.
well, sorry, I shouldn't have used the word raided. So they they haven't stolen them from the trucks yet. They bought a bunch of them online. So they bought 2,000 more consoles that they're going to sell for like $1,000 on eBay.
Oh,
So,
gotcha. That's not as fun.
So,
I was picturing like a warehouse, like it's like they get some thermite and break through the door. Walter White barrel rolls in and they carry all these things out. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, you lads need to get it under control over there. It's just lawless over there. Jesus Christ.
Well, they left the EU and shit went to hell. So
yeah, that shit doesn't happen in America. We don't storm the Capitol or anything.
right,
over
we
here.
don't do anything crazy over here.
Get your shit under control, lads. Also, Travis, website Push Square reported that 3D platformer Balan Wonderland, from the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog, which really caught me off guard, by the way, is getting a demo on PS4 and PS5 on January 28th. The full game releases on March 26th. I may see what that is just out of morbid curiosity. Like, what kind of game is this? And the Sonic guy made it. I have so many questions. Push Square also reported that a sequel or expansion to the hit underwater survival game Subnautica has been rated for PS4 and PS5 by the ESRB. The new game is titled Subnautica Below Zero.
Does Subnautica mean below the water or below the ocean?
Yes.
So so you were below the ocean, below zero.
Correct.
So we
Yeah.
would be in ice. Not necessarily. Is it
The
0 Celsius? Then it would be ice.
Well, the screenshot that I saw made it look like it was in like the Arctic Circle. So there's that.
Okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Push Square also reported that Ubisoft is working on fixing an entire dynamic quest line that has not been appearing in Assassin's Creed Valhalla called Avenge Quests, where players, you guessed it, avenge the death of other real players. I got to say, I've played for 28 hours. I've never had one of these pop up, so it is broken.
Didn't we have that before though? Right.
We did, yeah. That was
Right,
in one of Origins, I think, actually.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I remember that now because it would pop up and I'd be like, I don't care.
Right. Yeah. You just ignore it. Yeah. Website Push Square also reported that Ubisoft will be releasing a demo for open world RPG Immortals Phoenix Rising on PS4 and PS5 very soon. That developer Wells Interactive announced a new psychological thriller FMV game, I Saw Black Clouds, which sounds like a Pearl Jam song, which is due out on PS4 in Q1 of this year, so by the end of March, with a PS5 release date later in the year.
Gotta be honest, I was interested in this just by the name, and then I asked you what FMV meant, and you told me it's just like live action actors.
Yeah.
Don't care anymore. Just make a movie or a Netflix series. I don't need to play a video game with actors.
I understand. It's not for me either, but whatever. Push Square also reported that developer IO Interactive announced that Hitman 3 has had the biggest digital launch in franchise history.
Let's go.
That's
so
awesome.
here's the thing. So I'm gonna end up buying this next week.
Uh-oh.
And my wife is going out of town Saturday, which means I'm gonna play Hitman 3 all day. And the reason I waited, is this is what happens to me when I play Hitman. And it's the same thing that happens to me when I play Red Dead or Ghost of Tsushima. I did it with all those games with RPGs. This isn't really an RPG though, is it? I guess it is. Role playing game. You're playing a Hitman.
Sure, yeah. I'll allow it.
I get sucked in, and especially on Hitman because it's so replayable, and then I get like, you know how like you unlock those levels, so each level you unlock like, you know, hey, you could start with a Garrett wire, or you can start in the closet, and then like I get sucked into like all this shit where I'm like, well, now I can kill him in an elephant suit, and I got to wear that,
right?
And I just can't let it go. Like the Miami one on Hitman 2, where the race is, you can wear a mascot, like a penguin mascot, or not a penguin, it's a flamingo mascot.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, I'm going to do the whole fucking board in a flamingo costume. And I probably spent 3 hours dying before I finally did it.
You'll easily play. You can easily play one mission for hours, because my problem is that like if I'm trying to do it perfectly and I get caught, like I'm just going to reload the save.
Oh, I've done that before, yeah.
And I'm just like, gosh damn it. Like, this is the 6th time I've done this. Like, whatever. So, but that's part of the fun of it.
And I start sweating because I get so stressed out. And
it's like, yeah.
And like, I have found it's easier to do the Silent Assassin once you've unlocked some other levels. And the reason it's easier is like you can start in the building somewhere else. You don't have to spend 30 minutes trying to sneak through security. And then, you know, you accidentally kill a guard. So you get that taken off. You got to fucking reload.
Yeah. Yeah, or they'll accidentally stumble into your trap, you know, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, too soon. You did too soon.
Yeah. So I did also, or I have, you said you're going to, but I have bought Hitman 3. And I never played 2, so I went ahead and got that. It was on sale. It was on big, so it was like 80% off. So I got that. So I could have, you can import all the maps over into 3, and you can play them. You can play basically the whole game on 3. So I am going to do that at some point. I'm going to start at the very beginning. I'm just going to play through all of them. That sounds like, I have no idea what's going on at this point. So I'm just going to do it and refamiliarize myself. And I just got to put Assassin's Creed down for a little bit and get to it.
Mm-hmm.
But website Push Square, Travis, they also reported that developer Young Horses is working on a post-release update or content for Bugsnax.
Young Horses keep dragging me away.
Push Square also reported that developer Guerrilla Games will be updating the PC version of Horizon Zero Dawn less frequently in order to shift development resources over to the upcoming Horizon Forbidden West. That's welcome news. And finally, website Push Square reported that the Uncharted movie has been delayed from July of this year to February 22nd of next year. Yeah. COVID, I'm guessing they're anticipating nobody being able to go to the theater. Mm-hmm. Website Video Games Chronicle reported that a new patent from GTA publisher Take-Two Interactive hints at major improvements to how NPCs navigate the open world. Another patent also reportedly expands the system of dynamic growth of towns, as seen in Red Dead Redemption 2. It's interesting.
I read an article about the navigation of the open world.
Uh-huh.
That one. It's mostly about the drivers
Yes, that's my understanding.
and how they cornering, speed braking, awareness, all that fun stuff. So
Yeah, and like what type of road they're on, they may
right.
drive different. Yeah.
So the reason that that's really cool to me is that could make sim racing a lot better.
Like
So I'm
they'll just
excited about that.
yeah, I hear you.
Because Rockstar might come across something they don't know. Because one of the issues with sim racing, like if you do, like even on F1, if you do a career mode, is the AI just does really weird shit,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe this can help negate some of those issues. But
Yeah,
so that's where I am with it. But the growth the dynamic growth of the towns, I love.
I do too.
It's so cool. And I saw a post the other day that said we'll get GTA 6 when they finish this building in GTA 5. And it was like that big tower downtown. I loved it.
That's hilarious. Dude, GTA 6 is going to be something else, but we're going to have to wait like 5 more years probably for
It's
it,
okay.
which sucks. Anyway, who's reporting here? Ah, yes. Video Games Chronicle Travis reported also that Apex Legends Season 8 will launch on February 4th, featuring a new legend called Fuse, which they've been accused of stealing from somebody else. I can't remember who. They also reported that
Fuser.
yeah, they also reported that the rumored Resident Evil 4 remake has undergone a development soft reboot after an internal clash over the game's direction. That 3D adventure game Dreamers is releasing in the second half of 2021 on PS4 and PS5. And Video Games Chronicle also reported that Sony Network Entertainment president Tsuyoshi Kodera will leave the SIE division on April the 1st as he joins another division within Sony. Kodera has oversaw a number of online services since 2013, including the PlayStation Store, PlayStation Plus, and PlayStation Now. It's
That might be interesting. Yeah. I wonder. We probably won't realize the impact of this for a few years, but this is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I really don't know what to think of this. I know that they've said they want to compete with Xbox Game Pass, but I don't know that him leaving affects that in any way. So we'll see. Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that co-op hit A Way Out from industry wildman Joseph Ferris has sold more than 3.5 million copies, according to Ferris.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, that is.
So I want more games like that. So the more copies, the better. More reason for them to make another one.
Agreed. PlayStation Lifestyle also reported that Monster Jam Steel Titans 2 will release on PS4 on March the 2nd, and it will also feature online play, Travis. PlayStation Lifestyle reported that survival RPG horror game Buried in Ice, inspired by the movie The Thing, will be coming to consoles. Website PlayStation Universe reported that Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive franchise creator Tomonobu Itagaki has founded a new studio called Itagaki Games. Original. They also reported that publisher Sega revealed Yakuza Like a Dragon on PS5 will feature a 4K 30 frames per second resolution mode, as well as a 1440p 60 frames per second performance mode. PlayStation Lifestyle also reported that the LinkedIn profile for Michael Mumbauer, the former studio head senior director of the San Diego-based visual art studio, states that the studio is working on, quote, expanding upon existing franchises, end quote. So, Travis, this is the studio that's rumored to be making a new Uncharted game. So I think this pretty much confirms that. Yeah. They also reported that Microsoft-focused journalist Brad Sams stated on a recent podcast that Sony is among other heavyweights such as Microsoft, Google, and Amazon who are involved in active negotiations for game studio acquisitions. Sams stated that he knows of 3 active acquisition negotiations. This is fueling my tinfoil hat conspiracy from earlier, but we'll see. PlayStation Lifestyle reported that developer Team Ninja says they are not working on a new installment of Ninja Gaiden, and that even though Neo 3 is not currently in development, they may return to the franchise in the future after finishing other projects. They also reported that Neo Remastered on PS5 will include support for the DualSense adaptive triggers as well as a 120 frames per second mode. Jesus Christ. PlayStation Lifestyle reported that a second PUBG Universe game, possibly the leaked PUBG 2.0, will release in 2022, in addition to survival horror game The Callisto Protocol, which is set in the PUBG universe. They also reported that Neo 2 developer Team Ninja revealed that the complete edition of the game will feature PS5 and PS4 crossplay, that Square Enix has filed the recently discovered Final Fantasy trademarks of Ever Crisis and Shinra in more parts of the world, this time in Canada and Europe. They also reported that Cyberpunk 2077 was originally a third-person game up until 2016 when the switch to first-person was made, according to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier. That probably didn't help the development at all, becoming a shit show. PlayStation Lifestyle also reported that former Electronic Arts executive and Liverpool FC CEO Peter Moore has joined engine software company Unity as the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Sports and Live Entertainment. That Limbo developer Playdead has revealed that their new game is a third-person open-world sci-fi adventure game. That developer Frogwares has revealed that their next installment in the Sherlock Holmes game series, subtitled Chapter 1, will feature over 40 hours of content, including 5 main quests and more than 30 side quests. That developer Sumo Digital announced that Hood, Outlaws, and Legends will target 60 frames per second on PS5 and will also utilize the DualSense haptics for combat. And that Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt Red has been served with their second class action lawsuit in the state of California on behalf of the company's investors. Website Gamatsu reported that fighting game Jump Force will receive DLC character Giorno Giovanna this spring. That lo-fi 2D and 3D adventure game Anodyne 2 will release on PS4 and PS5 on February 18th. That publisher Modus Games announced a limited print collector's edition for upcoming RPG Chris Tales, which is available for pre-order now at the Maximum Game Store. That one-take non-stop arcade action game Speed Limit will launch on February 16th for PS4. That Hospital Management Sim 2 Point Hospital will receive a Jumbo Edition on March 5th for PS4, which includes all of the game's DLC. Website Gamatsu also reported that free-to-play chess battle game Auto Chess will launch on PS4 on January 27th. That VR visual novel Alt Deus Beyond Chronos will release on PSVR on April 15th worldwide. That roguelite deck-building game Neoverse will come to PS4 sometime in February. That satirical dungeon crawler Going Under will get a free working-from-home update on February 25th, featuring new items, abilities, locations, and modes. That free-to-play game Genshin Impact will launch its 1.3 update on February 3rd, which adds the Lantern Rite Festival event. That puzzle adventure game Arog will release on PS4 and PS5 on February 5th. And that Chinese company Tencent has reached an agreement to acquire a majority stake in Don't Starve and Mark of the Ninja developer Clay Entertainment. And that is all for the news this week. With that, we'll get into the new game releases, and normally I would kick it over to Travis, but he's having some technical difficulties, so this has gone from a co-op mission to a solo mission, so bear with me as we get through the new game releases here in America this week. On January 18th, we had Aborigines launch on PS4, Loot Hero DX on PS4. On January 20th, Ascendance on PS4, Balance Lot on PS4, Crimson Land on PS5 and PS4, Don't Starve Mega Pack on PS4, Hitman 3 on PS5 and PS4, Terratopia on PS4, Turrican Flashback Collection on PS4, and Waves Out on PS4. On January 21st, we had one release, which was Ride 4 on PS5. On January 22nd, we had Arcade Archives Block Hole on PS4, Memoranda on PS4, Redout Space Assault on PS4, Space Break on PS4, and Timothy and the Mysterious Forest on PS4 as well. Over in the UK, on January the 18th, we had Loot Hero DX on PS4. On January 20th, Ascendance on PS4, Balance Lot PS4, Crimson Land PS5 and PS4, Don't Starve Mega Pack on PS4, Hitman 3 on PS5 and PS4, Terratopia on PS4, Turrican Flashback Collection PS4, Waves Out PS4. On the 21st of January, they also got Ride 4 on PS5 in the UK. And on the 22nd of January, you guys got Arcade Archives, Block Hole, PS4, Memoranda, PS4, Redout, Space Assault, PS4, Space Break on PS4, and Timothy and the Mysterious Forest on PS4. And that is all for the new game releases this week. And with that, I'll begin to wrap it up here on my very own, which is quite lonely indeed. But I'll fill you guys in on what I'm going to be playing in the week ahead, what I'm looking forward to. So I plan to continue my manager's career in FIFA 21. It's going pretty well with the Bantams, with the lads from Bradford City, and I'm surprisingly enjoying that way more than I thought I would. I thought I would go back to NBA much faster than I have, but I have not really been playing any NBA 2K21 at all. I did hit level 100, rank 100 in the new Outlaw Pass on Red Dead Redemption Online. So I'm done with that for now. I went ahead and deleted the game. There's just really no point for me to keep playing that game every day until they come out with either a new Outlaw Pass or new content, because they've reworked the reward system so you just don't earn as much. So there's really no point. And I have quite a bit of money on there anyway, so it should be more than enough to buy whatever comes next. And I need the space on the PS5. So as I've said in the past, I plan to continue on with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I played a little bit this morning, actually, for a few hours, and it's just a really great game. You can really tailor the experience to however you want, so I'm enjoying that quite a bit. I just made it to East Anglia, that part of the map and region, so I'm excited to see where the story takes me. And then I also have a goal to get back into Hitman. I want to start from the very first game and work my way, through all of it, since you can do that all in Hitman 3. And I have all the missions, all the maps. So I'm looking forward to that. I never played 2 because it just kind of lost its luster to me a little bit. I think I just wasn't really in the mood for it. I played all of 1, but I just really wasn't ever in the mood to play 2. I think I owned it and played it for like half an hour maybe at one point. But I'm excited to try to get back into that. And by all accounts, it's an excellent game. Also, we're almost upon Destruction AllStars, so that's exciting. So about this time next week, we will be diving into that, and I'm looking forward to that. So we'll talk about that on next week's show. But that's really it, guys. It kind of got thrown out of the loop for us here because Travis had to drop out with his microphone issues. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode on our new release date of Mondays. If you would also be so kind as to leave us a review or a comment if you are listening on YouTube, we'd much appreciate it. And if you would also be so kind as to share us with a friend who you think may enjoy a podcast such as this, where they can get all of the week's PlayStation news in less than 90 minutes every week. If you guys want to chat with us, hit us up on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. And if you want to check out some of our game clips or streams, you can find us on YouTube at the DualSense Podcast as well. And we also post each week's episode on YouTube if you prefer to listen there. So you can do that. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you have a great week. We will talk at you next time.